I'm here with Cathy Chester, MS advocate and MS champion. And we're going to talk about the evolution of MS and MS advocacy. And we're going to talk about all that stuff right now.
Right now.
It works.
You were on a delay. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah. Okay, fine. Anyway. What's going on, y'all? I'm Damien. I was diagnosed with MS a few years ago and have been making content about the disease ever since. If this is your first time here and you'd like to learn more about MS while laughing and gaining a sense of community, start by subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss any updates. I'm here with Cathy Chester, MS patient, MS advocate, writer. There's so many titles that this fabulous MSer has that I could say, but I won't because I can't name them all. Hi, Cathy.
Hey, how are you doing, Damien? I'm so happy to be here.
Another day at the office. I cannot tell you how fabulous it is to have you here because you are out here for people with MS. You advocate, you write on the blog Multiple Sclerosis News Today. You are pretty much wherever I end up finding myself, you're already there. And you've been there for like 10 years.
Like a billion years, you know.
No, and it's true because so you show up for people in the multiple sclerosis community, and it's a wonderful, and that's why I wanted to have you here, just talking about things and just talking about the MS community in general. So thanks for coming here and talking about all that good stuff. So when were you diagnosed, actually?
So I was diagnosed in 1986. I was working in Manhattan, and I was walking home to my apartment, and I had those high heels on that we were mandatory to wear in the corporate world back then. And I was walking through Port Authority, and my shoe came off, and I didn't even know it, and I was walking crooked. And I looked back, and there's my shoe in the middle of the bus terminal. 10 feet back, and I said, yeah, I got to go to the doctor.
Yeah, you got to get this checked out.
Yeah.
Now, so did you have a whole diagnosis, like story and tale, like they thought it was one thing and now they think it's another, or did they straight up know this is MS?
Well, a few years prior to this, I was in a bad car accident. And after the accident, I had a concussion and so forth. My shoes were too tight, and my doctor at the time told me that my shoes were too tight. So I had to go and buy bigger shoes, which I knew wasn't the reason why my feet were so numb. But, you know, you're young and you ignore these symptoms. So fast forward to 1986. And after that incident I just told you about at the bus station, I decided to go to the doctor. And I was one of the lucky ones. I got an MRI, they weren't really doing MRIs. Spinal tap and CAT scan, and I found out right away that I had MS. It was conclusive.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so now you have MS. It is 1986. So now what?
Well, I didn't know what MS was. I didn't know anybody with MS, and I didn't know where to go for information. My doctor suggested, because he was the sole practitioner, that I go to an MS center, and they were really helpful in teaching me all about MS, and also National MS Society back then through snail mail would send me brochures, and they would return my phone calls, and they really gave me a lot of information as well. So between the MS Center and the National MS Society, those were my go-to places to learn as much as I could.
Absolutely. So did this role of MS advocate and MS champion, was that something that you woke up one day and was like, I'm going to do this?
Well, not exactly.
How did this unfold?
It unfolded over a number of years, although I did think that I could conquer the world right away, and I led a support group right in the very beginning, which was the wrong move for me. But I did keep my hand in volunteering for all the different large organizations that were around and write articles for the local papers about MS. And I was dating a guy at the time when I was diagnosed, and now today we're married, 32 years. So that's a good story. So yeah. I love that. I love telling people that story because their faces drop. I mean, he took me for my CAT scan. So yeah.
Because he loves you, Cathy.
He did.
Yeah.
And he does.
And he does. So how does this evolution of, you have so many titles, you MS advocate and writer, and you show up in this space at a heavy level for so long. Talk to me about this evolution.
Well, you have to remember that I met a lot of people in those early days because the field wasn't that crowded. There wasn't anybody advocating. The medical community did not want to hear what we had to say. Wow. Our voices. I wanted to know about yoga and meditation, and they said, just go home and rest. I quit my job, gave up my apartment, and I moved home with my parents. Ooh. So, yeah. It was very different in those days, and I like to tell that story to show what has transpired since then. And it's important for people to realize in the community that a lot of good has happened all these years. A lot of positive things have happened, and that's because we use our voices. So as I had a son, a healthy son in 1992, and he was in high school, I decided I really want to go back and get a certification in health advocacy. And so I got that, and I married that with my love of writing. And that's when I decided to become a serious, full-time health advocate. So I've had a long, you ask me and I'll probably say, yeah, I worked for them, or yeah, I did work for them, or I volunteered for them, I wrote for them, I speak, I consult, and now the people like you, the younger generation, to me, I just love seeing the space filled up with such compassionate and dedicated people like you who are using your platforms for the greater good. And I love that. Yeah, that's why I was drawn to you and many others like you right from the beginning. Yeah, well, I want to get that out there.
Absolutely. No, thank you. I'm drawn to someone like you because you show up. And I think this is something that I speak about with other people on the program as well. Just show up, and sometimes it takes more for you to show up on certain days than other days.
Right?
And that's fine, and that's your journey. But it's simple, and frankly, it's easier to sort of let MS have you not show up as strong and as fully as you can show up. And so that's kind of what I see whenever somebody is clearly showing up, doing the work, being present, and being their warm, fabulous, generous self. I admire it. I gravitate toward it, and I want to see how much I can learn from that person, and what space that person can hold with me. You know what I mean?
Right. And I think that we learn from each other, and we always stay curious. But the thing is, when people say to me, I'm sure they say to you, oh, but you're so strong, but what choice do we have? And so when I've done work I've gone to large conferences for different health initiatives or MS initiatives or blogging initiatives, writers initiatives, it's very hard. It's a lot of walking involved. There's a lot of flying, before the pandemic. And yeah. But you do what you have to do, because I've always wanted to show up, because I love the MS community. I love being able to be a voice for us, because I came from that space in my journey when no one wanted to hear what I had to say, when my voice was silenced for so long. And now I will do anything that I can. And like you said, MS News Today, but also ms.net and my blog, and I've worked for several big pharma and their initiatives. Being as a patient voice, there's tons of ways that we can use our advocate voices to create an even better arena for our community. And that's so important. And it's so important that there's plenty of room at the inn for all of us. For all of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and
Yeah.
I've sort of given space to that idea of like there's so much that we can do. And it is important for us to show up, if not only for our generation, for the next generation beyond us. And like I would have been doing what I was doing, period. And then I see somebody like you, and I'm like, oh, I can do so much more. This is something else I can do. Oh, this. Let me see what else this person has done before I knew about this person. Oh, she's done this, she's done that. Oh man, okay, so she shows up in the space, and I know she's hurting. I know either if her legs don't hurt, then her balance is wonky, and if her balance isn't wonky, her vision's wonky, and if her vision, you know what I'm saying. So there's something to other people being in the space, showing up in a way that is it you admire, and that you respect, and that inspires you to continue to dig, and see what else you can do. And that's even kind of why I'm having this episode, because it's like there are 3,000 some odd people who watch this channel, and they like this channel because of the information that they get, and the spirit that I keep and my guests keep, because MS is hard. So another resource,
Right.
I become another resource, and that's kind of why I'm even having you here, because you are a resource. And if follow
Thank
Cathy,
you.
follow Cathy Chester on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, because you will
And
have.
empoweredspirit.com.
That was the next thing that I was going to say, and empoweredspirit.com, because you will have a person, a fellow MSer who has a vast set of knowledge, and the motivation to put that out and share that with other people. Because I know we all have had our low points, but you make sure to pick yourself up and keep going.
Well, I think it all ties into my spirituality too, which I know from, that you have as well. And that is to stay positive. And I think that's so important. I always tell newly diagnosed people the importance of staying positive. And that really goes against when you're first diagnosed with an incurable illness. But it really, for me, it really has helped. It really has kept me strong. And the other thing of what you said was everything is always evolving. It's always changing. And it will be. In the beginning of my MS, there was nothing to keep on track of. There were no new medications. There were nothing to find information on. And then all of a sudden, bam, and it's impossible to keep up with all the information that's going on right now. And you need to keep evolving, stay curious, keep learning, and just do the best you can within the area that you want to advocate in. Everybody is different. Everybody has a different expertise and a different niche within the MS space.
Right, because my expertise is computers and holding space on a camera and presenting information. That's why I'm good at doing what I am doing. So if it's different, then you do different things, and that's fine, and that's great, and it makes me.
And that's the way it should be, because that's all what humanity is all about.
Talk to me.
We are all different.
Talk to me about an empowered spirit. Why did you name your thing, your website, that thing? Or talk to me.
Okay, so before I went back for my certification, I really wanted to have a blog and have a space where I could prove to people who I was, show them what I was about and what I could do. And I thought that would be the stepping off point of being hired to do other things. And I happened to be right. So I created my blog, and I use my authentic voice to empower, educate, and inspire people. And if I can help even one person, that's the whole ball game. If I
Absolutely.
could, somebody says, "Hey, Cathy, you really made a difference in my life," that's everything. And so from there, I was asked to write for different companies, and what I said before, consult and be a speaker and be part of initiatives. And it grew from that. But I love my blog and I love my readers. And I think it's a fabulous way to get started. Now it's probably different. I mean, that was a decade ago.
Yeah.
So everything is changing. And actually, on my 61st birthday, which was this year,
Hey, girl.
I don't
Hey.
mind. I don't mind saying my age.
Okay.
I don't care about aging. I really don't. But what bothered me is I still have stuff to do before I'm too old to do it. So now I'm working with a business coach because I want to find out what's next for me. What else I could reach wider audiences and do more good within the advocate space using my authentic voice and my expertise. I have to figure that out. And that's what I've been really working hard on. Yeah. So,
Wow.
but we're always looking for that next move. I think that to grow is to evolve and stay curious. All the things I said before. That just makes us better people and better advocates. And I know that then people feel they can really rely on us. I want to tell you one story that I wanted to tell you before. It's a quick story.
Please do.
So when I was working, I used to be the blogger for the Consortium of MS Centers, and I was at a small luncheon one day.
Okay.
And I met these nurses at the luncheon who worked at a nursing home. And they told me about, now this is a while ago, they told me that they didn't have any computers for their patients, and some of them had MS. And they got 2 computers donated, 2 old computers that were refurbished, and these patients got the computers, and their whole disposition was changed. Excuse me. And they felt that their whole world was opened up. And it was so beautiful. I hugged these nurses for telling me the story. And all these years later, I remember it because that's how you touch lives. That's how you reach out. You reach into people's laptops and reach people's iPhones by speaking your truth, by providing solid information, and by doing what you think is the right thing to do for the community. That's really the idea of it all, isn't it?
Look, I think honestly, that's the whole interview right there. Like, to have another empowered spirit on this channel talk about the same things that one can hear see in my videos and really catch from my vibe if you see enough of them. It's just to do what you do for others in the space. And whether that's write a vlog or shoot a vlog or you help people get computers, like
It's everything.
Just helping the next person, the next one deal with this thing through your own eyes, through your own lens of how you've dealt with this thing. That's
right.
That's really what that's where the magic is, and that's where you can really find your beauty and solace with, man, I have this disease. It's not fun at all.
No. And it's a struggle. And it can rip you apart sometimes, emotionally, physically. I'm not going to glorify it. No. But it's all in your perspective and how you handle it and how you surround yourself with people who care about you and how you handle that and how you get rid of toxic behavior that can drag you down and how you get good information, quality information from trusted sources, and how you do all of that. And I could continue on, but all of that is very, very important. And then you put yourself in someone else's shoes and you think, what would I have wanted somebody to tell me, and do it for them. and do it for them, you know,
Oh,
because
absolutely.
that answers the questions, you
No,
know.
I gave the space to that because it's like, yeah, what do you want? What would you have liked to have told yourself because you have learned these things?
Right,
Tell the next person. Tell them.
right.
Show
Pay it
up.
forward.
Just show up in your space, however you do. You vlog or you blog or you're
Right,
some other type of patient advocate. Do whatever it is, but show up for that person. Show up for the next person. And because MS is individual, but you getting through a particular symptom, perhaps someone else has a similar symptom, and your way can help them. But ultimately, even if you don't have the same symptom, you have the same disease,
that's
and
right.
the person gets to see another person with the same disease still being stellar, still
That's
making it
right.
happen, still
That's right.
figuring out a way to be their best self. And that is the one of the biggest things, if not the biggest thing, in the advocacy space. Watching
That's right.
others advocate and getting inspired by that, and
Right.
then putting that in your own tank, you know?
Right. Because I remember that time when I was afraid, alone, fearful, overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do. When the doctor said, "You have MS, go home and rest. Quit your job, give up your apartment." And that's the advice. And those were dark days.
Mm,
Thank goodness my parents were so wonderful and my boyfriend and my brothers. But
mm,
even
mm,
so, you
mm.
still have this disease. So I never want anybody to go through that. And I know that's impossible to reach the entire world, but wouldn't it be wonderful if we could? So we
Yeah.
try to do what we can in our own little tiny corner of the world, you know?
Absolutely. No, it's and that's why I have you here, Kathy, because I know what I do, and a lot of the audience is just they're like, "Hey, thank you. Hey, I needed this. Hey, I was scared to have my infusions, and now I watch your channel, and now I watch your vibe, and like I feel so much better about it." Or I want to start my own advocacy things after watching your things, and that's why I'm like, look, I got to have more advocates on the show and on the channel, so that they can put some gas into the next person's tank. You know?
And that's exactly it. That's a great illustration of exactly what you're trying to do. And what we're all trying to do is to fill those tanks up constantly. You know, I remember at the Kennedy Center Honors when Jon Stewart talked about Bruce Springsteen, and he said every concert he filled the tank. He
Mm,
completely filled the tank. And I love that phrase, and you
mm,
just said it, is
mm.
that we want to fill the tank of every patient that needs us, or every patient that's looking for answers, or every patient that is having just a bad day. And don't we all have bad days? Who doesn't, you know? We're
Absolutely.
imperfect human beings with this unpredictable, incurable disease right now. So have to do our best and hold each other up, you know?
That it's grace. That's giving yourself grace, giving other people grace,
That's
especially
exactly it.
when they do things that you don't like or doing things that you like. You know, I have MS. Like help me out more.
I love that.
Giving the grace
Right. You
to
absolutely crack me up.
well, it's true, man. You got to give yourself grace, and you got to give other people around you in
And
your
that's it.
circle grace. And then
Right.
again, one more time, you have to give yourself grace on top of that.
Right.
You know,
It's like rinse, repeat,
that's
you
it.
know?
That's it, and that's all. Well, no,
Yeah.
I'm elated that you gave me a slice of your time to share with the folks out there. Well, give me another rundown. Where can people find you? And I'll put it on the screen at the bottom. Like, what's your website and your Twitter's handles and all that good stuff? Where can people
Okie
find you?
doke. Thanks for asking. So it's anempoweredspirit.com. And then on Instagram, I'm Cathy. Cathy was taken. Cathsie. And on Facebook, on my name. And, and on Twitter, it's Cathy Chess, Ches.
again, Cathy is another person who I keep in my feed, and she gives me gas and she gives me energy and strength to keep going.
Aw.
Even before we've even knew, even before it was like, hey, Cathy, this is who I am, and X, Y, and Z. So it's fine that if you're out here and you like something and like someone, and you can see that you can take a piece of their game and add it to your own, do that and be inspired and know that even when we don't feel well, we're still here and we're
And
happy
we
to be.
still matter, and we
We
still have great value. And I always say that because it's true.
because it's true and it's
That's
real.
right. That's right.
And that's what it is, and you want to give that to yourself and as many people around you.
And
Um,
you are an explosion. Just you just exploded in my mind, in my mind's eye, but everywhere. And I am so grateful that that happened. Thank you very much, Damien.
Look, I thank
You're
you.
such a pleasure.
Thank you. I will receive that and say thank you, and that's lovely, and that makes me feel good. And you know what? That's more gas in my tank, Kathy. So I could be a better person for the next person, and I can keep going because I tell you, I don't feel like it right now. I don't feel like it today.
That's it. I
But
gotcha.
thank you for coming through and being your glorious, fabulous self,
Oh,
and
my pleasure. My great,
continuing
great pleasure.
continuing to show up for us all out here that are trying to figure out a way up when we figure out that our immune system is eating our brain and our spine.
That's right. But there will be better therapies, and I have great hope there'll be a cure. I don't think in my generation, but you never know. I've been wrong before.
Well, thank you, Kathy. And I'm just going to say K bye. And maybe you can say it with me. I did not spring this on her before, so she might not even want to do it with me. But I can just look in the lens and be like, we're done here and K bye. So, K bye.
Whatever you want. Okay, bye.
K bye.
Bye.